live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Everybody, what's up? DJ A-roc here for episode 12 as we are getting ready to talk to our entertainment technical team. What's up, everybody? How you all doing tonight?
What's going on, A-roc? All
Great.
good.
Woo! So, of course, we say the best for last, because as entertainment, as entertainers, musicians, playlists, DJs, we only sound good unless these guys got it sounding good. That's what people don't realize. Like, how you guys sound so good? Well, here we go. We got the brains of the operation right here on the screen with us tonight, our wonderful technical team. What's up, everybody? Introduce yourself. We'll start with the ladies. Holly, you up there? What's up?
Hi. Just hanging out. I'm Holly. I was with Carnival for almost 9 years. And now I live in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I work at a university, and I get to teach events and sound and lights.
Wow, that's pretty impressive there, Holly.
It sounds good.
All right, Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I was a floor technician / stage manager with Carnival for 2 years. And now I'm just chilling at home.
All right. We're going to come back to the home gig you got. So we can do some promotion with that one later on. All right. So the guys, go ahead. Who want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Ellis. All the way from Nairobi, Kenya. I've been with Carnival for the past 2.5 years. Just chilling at home right now, just waiting for things to get back normal and get back to work.
All right.
Yeah.
Where we at? Rafael.
Hey guys, my name is Rafa. I don't go by Rafael, but there you go.
Rafa.
Yeah, okay. My name is Rafa. I'm a video technician for Carnival for the past 2.5 years. And prior to that, I was working for a different cruise line. And that's it. I'm from Brazil, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Adam.
Hi, everybody. Adam from Orlando right now. Just moved up here from Fort Lauderdale to kind of ride out the storm. Most recently, I was a facilities associate at Carnival Studios. Before that, was the hiring and booking supervisor for all of these lovely technicians. And I actually started with Carnival as an automation tech about 8.5 years ago. So just kind of riding out the waves right now. Just seeing what's happening, obviously, with the cruise industry and with the entertainment industry, obviously, as a whole. So goal right now is staying safe and healthy, and what comes my way right now.
All right. And last but not least.
What's going on, A-roc?
What's happening?
Not much. My name's Jeff. I retired from Carnival last January or April, whatever date you want to officially say it. I was with them for 10 years. I kind of did every tech position at some point in time. Started with video being a separate department. Shows how long that was.
Wow. So, it's one of these things that, the question is always, how do we get this job? But one thing, people don't run into the tech as much because you guys are usually not seen, but you are heard. And, I always say no one cares about the audio guy till the audio stops working. How did you wind up in that position on board? What was you doing before? Jeff, you've been the longest, right? Been there. So what was you doing before the working on cruise ships?
I got hired literally 2 weeks after I graduated college. I was on a ship a month later.
And what did you study in college?
Communications, news broadcasting.
Okay. All right. So it kind of worked right to what you was doing.
Yeah,
All
I kind of worked into that.
So right out of college, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Adam, how did you wind up? What was you doing before you got with the studios and the hiring process?
Oh, well, my history actually comes, I started out in hospitality. That's what my background is, and my degree is in hospitality and tourism. I originally started out on the Carnival and Conquest as guest services, which they are just as hardworking as the technicians on the ship and do not get near the credit that they should, as well as most of the crew. But I did a partial contact on the Conquest and then got scooped up by entertainment and went to the Breeze for relief for the inaugural technician. Spent 3 or 4 years hopping around the fleet, doing automation. 2016 got the opportunity to come shoreside when a position opened up at the headquarters. And then with the development of Carnival Studios, got the opportunity to be part of that opening team and the team that led that operation really for the last 3 years. So it's just been, a different step every way, a lot of growth and, a lot of learning and, kind of going places where I wasn't necessarily 100% comfortable, but it kept it interesting and, kept me really engaged with the experience.
Oh, wow. That's so you were on a startup. Say the playlist last week, Carla was talking about the studios. I'd never been to the studios before. So she kind of gave me the inside scoop about the studios and how things set up. So I was like, all right, well, I'm jealous because I've never been there. So, we're going to throw it to Rafa. So you are in Brazil? Hold on.
Okay, sorry. I had to mute my my audio. I don't know if my microphone is okay now or.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I got a weird problem with my AirPods. They're not paired with my MacBook.
With that.
They're not paired with my MacBook anymore. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. What's your question again?
So you're in Brazil right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Rio right now.
All right. So how did you wind up working on the ship? Did the opportunity, was it recruitment down your area? How did that come up?
Well, that's actually a really long story, but to make it shorter,
give us the shortest version.
Yeah, okay. I was working for an oil company in a oil rig, like oil platform,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was there, and then one day I was looking to the sea and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I was trying to look for a job that's on the sea, but that is not stationary. Like, I want the rig to move, And then a friend of mine was working for, I think, Royal Caribbean as a gift shop on or something like that. And he told me like, oh, you have to apply. You speak English. Come on, you have to go. And I was like, yeah, sure, but I don't want to sell anything, And then what I did, I got a selling position. I was a photographer because I was working as a photographer back home. So I applied for a photographer position and I got the job. I spent 6 years. No, I spent 3 years as a photographer. And then through a series of complicated cross-training positions, I ended up finding the job as a technician. And I really, really wanted to work on the stage, but I didn't have the technical background, So, but I had the experience, not on cruise ships, but not on technical side as well. But I had the background, the things like, And then I went to cross training. I went to the cross training, and I was like, hey, listen, I don't know much stuff, but listen, I want to learn. And if you're willing to teach me, I can, And they're like, yeah, sure. And then 6 years later, I'm still here. So yeah.
Hey.
Yay. Yeah. Now for Carnival, because that story is started in a different princess company.
All right. So I'm gonna throw it to ladies real quick because especially as tech, you don't see too many females in this field, So Jessica, how did you wind up on the ships? What was you doing before, and how did you wind up on the cruise line?
Yeah, so I went to school and got a bachelor's in stage management. And then I went to the Southeastern Theater Conference, met this lovely man named Adam. Hi, Adam. And he offered me my first contract with Carnival.
Oh, I did not know that. So Adam, you hired Jessica. See, he didn't mention that in the pre-show fund.
Oh,
We didn't get that in the pre-show fund. All right. So back to this conference. How did you find out about this conference? It was just like
So it's I learned about the conference through my theater program, but the Southeastern Theater Conference, it's held yearly, I think in like late February, early March. And it hops around different locations in the Southeast. And it's an amazing place for actors to audition. And then also they have tech interviews all weekend long with 50 to 60, I don't know how many companies. The 2 years that I went to SETC, I interviewed with over 30 companies both weekends because I figured if I was there, I was just going to interview the whole time. But yeah, it's a really great place to go, especially if you're in college and you're wanting a career either in ships or just theater in general.
all right, that's good to know. That's a tip. And back to Adam on a hiring. See, we're gonna come back to Adam about this hiring because I want to know what he looks for during the hiring process. So Holly, what's up? Now I work with Holly one too many times. Superstar.
We had a lot
on
of
board.
fun.
Superstar. So Holly, how did you wind up in this field, and how did you wind up on the ships?
So I went to school for audio engineering, and similar to Jeff, I went to school for communications. That was my major. Studied audio engineering, and I got hired 2 weeks before I graduated. I got recruited by Tim Cabral, who's no longer with the company.
An old name there. Come on.
I know, that shows the age, right? And it all just kind of fell together, my first ship was the Fantasy, and done and done after that.
Wow. See, and that's something like I went to the school for the same thing. I did audio engineering communications here at OU, and this was 20 years ago, and the thing was what we was going to do after college. Where you going to find it? I didn't know about a lot of these resources that was out there, but of course this is 20 years ago. It was word of mouth and how you going to get there. But I never thought in a million years I'd be working on a cruise ship. So so I'm thinking it's a paid.
I don't think anybody thinks they'd be on a cruise ship, especially.
I don't think they do.
Right. It's always I'm gonna do this one contract and I'm gonna see what happens.
I said that so many times.
And then it's 8 contracts later.
I said that 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, so with one of those things, I want to, with Adam, far as recruitment, what's some of the things that people should know, like if they are looking to get into this industry, far as, entertainment tech on a cruise ship. Now I'm gonna throw this out there real quick. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, we're talking to the entertainment tech. If you have been on a cruise ship and want to know how these shows go down, this right here is the crew behind the scenes making the magic happen. This is the technical team making all the entertainment sound good, look good, and so much more. So, we're gonna throw it down to Adam because what's some things that you can throw out there for people that may be looking for this kind of opportunity? What do you look for?
One, really do your research in the companies. As a technician, every company has a certain demographic that they're shooting for. And ultimately that in the end is going to relate to what type of shows you're producing, what type of guests you're dealing with. If you want a little bit more of a relaxed environment, a cruise line that specializes in the, older adults, seniors, retirees is going to be a better option for you. And if you like more of the, cartoons and things like that, obviously there's going to be, those cruise lines where, Carnival's directed, towards families. So it's really high energy, very casual, and our shows go with that kind of theme of being, shorter than the typical production show. But you really need to understand what you're getting yourself into. I would always kind of take a deep breath when I was, interviewing somebody and they said, well, I just came back from a cruise. And the experience that you're going to have as a crew member is not the experience that I'm hiring you for. Yes, you do have friends, a lot of fun, a lot of different experiences. You get to see the world. But that's not what I'm hiring you for. I'm hiring you to work, 7 days a week, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. That person has to show flexibility and the willingness to learn other disciplines. If you come in and you say, I'm solely in a lighting tech and that's all I want to do, and I want to develop and I want to create and design, well, this isn't going to be the best opportunity for you. You have to be willing to do maintenance, and you have to be willing to troubleshoot back and forth with the office. You have to be able to work independently on your own. And I think that's one of the reasons technicians that are coming out of the cruise industry are very valuable to shoreside gigs, is they've had to be self-sufficient. They've had to be able to find the answers when you couldn't reach the supervisor shoreside. You had to find that Band-Aid when you had no Band-Aids. You really had to think on your feet, and you had multiple complications and multiple issues, throughout the whole entire day. Ship movement, reblocks because somebody sprained their ankle, and the list just goes on and on. And then you also have to remember that you're not just focused on that show that's in front of you, especially for like our audio technicians. While that show's going on in the main lounge and you're trying to mix, in the back of the ship, there's another facility, another lounge running a comedy show. So you have to be able to figure that balance.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna come back to that too. I was gonna tell like all the different things going on. Okay. So with that being said, Almost, how did you get from Kenya to Carnival? Because I just want to know, everybody from all over the world. I always want to know, how do people get from certain places to Miami or Texas or Long Beach?
For me, it's a very long story. Before I got Carnival, let me start from the beginning. I grew up with the sound. I was doing sound from my dad in the church. My dad is a pastor, so I grew up with the sound. And after my college, after my high school, I joined the college. I did music production. After that, I did journalism, which I ventured to radio production. Then after that, I went to audio and engineering, of which I took now direction of the audio, and I left the rest, the music production and the radio. Then after that, my first job was on a studio, which I did some production for music, radio jingles, and so many things about radio. And then after that, I was employed by a company. Is an audio company. I would say it's a sales company, but mostly we were doing like gigs, events mostly. And I was with the company for around 3 years. Then after that, a friend of mine who was who was studying in South Africa, SAE is a very big SAE is a very big audio engineering school in South Africa. He told me, "Do you want to work in a cruise ship?" I was like, I'm not so sure. Because I was so used to land, and I was so used to doing events on land. I've never gone to a cruise. I don't know what I was expecting. So I sent me a link for Carnival, the entertainment link. I'll try. I'm not so sure. I'll try, but I'm not so sure. Then just eventually I applied. And the good thing, they approved me, and they told me I did. Catherine was the one who hired me, and he took me in. He did an interview for me, and after that, everything followed. Yeah, by the way, I'm an audio tech. I didn't say that from the beginning. Yeah.
I love the history with everybody. The background what everybody has done before. It's a lot. People just think, oh, these guys just jump on the ship, but everybody's sitting here with skills, skills, degrees, life skills. And so we're gonna go from getting hired to that first contract, that first ship. Everybody light up on that one. Who want to talk about their first day walking on a ship? First day. Who could think back that far?
You want to start, Holly? Or?
I'll start. So when you first sign on, right, they kind of, or at least in my case, they emailed me like a very casual list of, what you need to do beforehand, which is cool. And I don't know why. I was probably also young and didn't pay attention. I didn't bring my medical with me. And so I'm like on the ship. I'm scared out of my brain because I'm, 21. And I have no medical. I'm about to get kicked off. I'm about to fly back to Boston. And come like 2:55, 5 minutes before, the general practitioner I went to, it was a Saturday, of course, no one's in working, faxed it over, and I was able to stay. And you know what? I remember Nanad, Jeff, you might know him. He was the first person I ever met on a ship. He was so flippin' nice, and he showed me around, and I had no idea what he was saying. And
he was my coworker.
I love him. He's literally the most wonderful person. And I was scared out of my brain, and he just made everything okay. And I felt so good, and everything worked out.
Yo, first day on board. We had somebody else talking about forgetting their medical. It's like, that's like number one. It's like always had that medical. Always had that medical, no matter what. But you made it. So all right. So Jeff, so what was your first day on board the ship?
I joined the Fantasy out of New Orleans. So I had to fly it was the only time I paid for my own flight to get to a ship. Because that time they didn't pay for your first flight.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So I had to pay to get from Fort Lauderdale to Houston, and then they covered Houston to New Orleans.
Okay.
So got to the ship. I had Renan Villaruz, if anybody knows who that is. He's still around. I know Adam knows who it is. One of the nicest managers I worked with over the years. Still talk to him every once in a while. Showed up, had no clue what I was actually doing. Got to my little closet of a cabin. Those little
minis.
Renan came and met me in my room. I got to the office. He handed me a camera, told me I had to go film because my coworker was still off the ship. I had to go do sail away party. First day, knew nothing of what I was actually supposed to do. He just handed me a camera and told me to go film people.
Wow. Did you know the camera? Did you know how to use the camera that he gave you?
A little bit, but not much. I said, just tell me what the record button is. I'll figure it out from there.
Figure it out from there. And like folks think we just, we got weeks of training and, we just gonna relax. Now we get on board. We start working as soon as we get there,
Right now.
And especially back then when video techs were not part of entertainment. We were our own department.
Oh, wow. Wow.
When I started, my manager reported to the hotel director. I worked with the cruise director if they needed something, if they needed it filmed, that was it.
Huh. All right. I remember cruising. They used to sell the DVDs on like Men's Hairy Chest.
Oh, I sold them.
Okay. All right.
I was a damn good salesman.
So, all right. I remember people up there selling these, on the promenade, did you see the Men's Hairy Chest? We got the DVDs available. Like, oh, wow, that's fast. I was impressed that they was cranking them out that fast. Like, we're on a 5-day and they already got the DVDs pressed out for sale with covers on it. What is going on?
All done on board.
All done on board. So, all right. So Jessica, your first day on the ship.
So my first day working on a ship was my first day ever on a cruise ship. I just figured, I'll do it for 6 months. And if I don't like it, I won't do it again. So that was right when they were transitioning from, they had it so that any US citizens would just fly to the ship day of, and they were in the process of changing it to everyone stays overnight in a hotel regardless. So I flew day of, but there were like some missed memos going on there. So I joined Carnival Dream in New Orleans, and I was the last person to get on the ship that day. They weren't really expecting me. They didn't have things ready for me. They left me waiting for like a while. I was very concerned. And then my handover, the girl I was replacing, came and got me and gave me a tour, and then everything was okay.
I remember your first day, Jessica.
I think were you on there? See, I did back to back.
We were there together at some point.
Remember if you were there my first day.
I don't remember.
I think you were there my second contract.
Okay. You were there. I was there. We all ended up there.
Man, so yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, if you US, you fly in the same day, you get a 4:30 a.m. flight, and you working at 1. So yeah, right after Vessel Fam. All right, sail away party. Go upstairs, DJ.
Right.
So so Osmas, so coming from, you was already doing live production already over in Kenya. What was your first day like, transition from land to sea, from the concerts to a cruise ship?
What I say, for my first time, it was like I was called in a hurry. Like the person I was going to replace, he had an emergency. So the cast had already gone to the ship. I was going to go to the studio for 1 week, rehearse, and go to the ship, of which when I was doing rehearsal, I was doing with the latest tracks, the recorded tracks. So I didn't know who I was going to expect and who were the people I was going to expect to be with on the ship. On my first time on the ship, I wouldn't say it was easy. It was a bit hard for me because I was trying to adjust with the cast, to try at least to work with them and at least to make the show sound good. And my handover was for 1 week on the ship. So the people who helped me, it was the ATM, and at least the light tech who was there, at least he had some knowledge on sound, at least helped me to maneuver things. Within 2 weeks, I was good, and I wouldn't say it was a bit harsh, but at the end of it, I got everything, and the shows were great and everything.
Wow. So have you ever been on a cruise ship before?
No, that was the first time, and it was okay. And you know how people get confused the first time on the ship, and you don't know where is the leader, where is the cabin, everything. Now that was before adjusting, it took me some time. Yeah, but I managed.
Yeah, that was my thing. Like, what floor is this? It's deck. Sorry. What deck do I go on? It's not floor. What side? Left side? No, starboard, port side. Just trying to get used to all the terminology. So Rafa, coming from the oil rigs to now, have you ever been on a cruise ship before this, or you just seen them, or?
No. I went from the oil rig to Brazil and then hired. And then when I joined the cruise ship, I was already working as a photographer, so I already had the experience. So the first time I joined, I had this, how do you call that? My manager told me, "Oh, hey, go on Lido deck and take, we're sail away. So go on Lido deck and take as many pictures as you can." And I said, "Okay, there's no, right now, all cruise lines have this, the system where they tag the guest cabin, right? Back then, 10 years ago, they didn't have that. So I just went on Lido deck and literally took pictures of as many pictures of many people as I could. And when I went back to the photo lab, my manager was like, "Oh, how many pictures you took?" "Oh, I took like 600 pictures." And the guy was like, "Really? That's it?" I said, "Yeah." And then he looked at me like, "Man, you broke the records. Like, how come?" I said, "Well, I just went to everybody. Hey, do you want to take a picture? Yes, no, take a picture." And that's it. But there's no explanation. And then the guy was like, "Oh, I'm very impressed by you." I said, "Okay, that's fine." But my very first day on board as a technician, I was by myself, and I was like, how do I do this again? I don't remember. Then I found the guy that trained me as cross training on Facebook. "Hey, listen, I made a mistake. Hey, help me, please. And then we literally did a video chat on WhatsApp. And like, listen, I might broke something up. I'm like, no, that's fine, that's fine. Wow. And I was just remembering my first day on Carnival, actually, when when you're switching companies, everything's different, you know. I learned all the systems in one company, and then I swapped to another company, and I had to relearn everything again. And then I turned to a third company, which is Carnival, and then I had to relearn everything again. But on my very first day on board, I was on board the Carnival Conquest, and just like I think Jeffrey mentioned, that a guy gave him a camera and that's it. And then on the Conquest, a guy gave me a camera and he said, "Hey, go on Lido and record and zoom out. You're gonna be on the Lido screen in 5 seconds." Okay, so I put the microphone up. I went to Lido, and then I just panned everybody dancing and doing sail away, and from there, you know, you get to learn new stuff every day. So that's a crazy day. Like, you have to be like this quick to pick things up. If you're not quick, you might miss up something, and then your manager gonna get pissed off. You're gonna piss off the cruise director. You're gonna piss off the other technicians.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and then and these days everything is interconnected. So if you press macro on AMX that you have no idea what it does, someone somewhere is gonna be very pissed off. You know, that you have to learn things on the spot. Otherwise, you might move a camera that the automation technician needs to, I don't know, see a safe spot on I don't know. This kind of stuff happens, you know. Yeah. So as you're speaking about things that you have to learn before joining a cruise ship, well, I would say, listen. At least learn the technical terms, and if not that, if you just want the basic stuff in order to not get lost, at least get lost less times, go on the company website, see the ship layout, you know, like the decks, and know, oh, listen, if I'm on the front of the ship and someone asks me where's the comedy club, I'm gonna be like, yeah. It's my first day.
It's my first day. Number one question. DJ, where's the bathroom at?
I don't know, man. Just keep going. You know? There's a guy with a red shirt. Just ask him.
He got it down. Look for the red shirt.
I've definitely been guilty of saying it's my first day for the entire first month of each contract. Just to
of course.
We've all been there.
It's my first day. So Adam, what was your
story for my first contract?
Yeah, I just shrugged my shoulders. I don't know, but
yeah, that's what I would do. Oh, I've kind of had two first days. I'll tell you the first day was when I first got hired in with Carnival. Was flown to New Orleans, or not New Orleans, Orlando, excuse me. And a lot of the departments have, you know, something called a college, which is basically what that word is you are going to be going on a specific ship to work in the real atmosphere, but it's designated as a training ship. And a lot of departments have this. Guest services does, housekeeping, food and beverage. So I got flown down to Orlando, got checked into the good old Holiday Inn, getting ready to join my first ship, which was the XC out of Carnival. And about 11:30 at night, I get a phone call from my recruiter saying, the ship has reached its U.S. Coast Guard counts. We cannot get you on the ship. Please stay in the hotel and we'll figure something out. I will be in touch. And again, this is me not knowing exactly what Coast Guard count means and what's this delay. I mean, I'm starting to panic thinking, oh, I'm not going to make it. But after sitting in Orlando and having the opportunity to see all the sights, 4 days later was given a plane ticket to New Orleans to join the Conquest. Walked on board, had no idea what I was doing. Thankfully, I had a wonderful manager that came down and collected me and gave me a bottle of water and really kind of hit some of that first day experience that even after my first day, seeing kind of not being done for the sign-on crew members. So then that's when you're walking around not knowing even how to find the bathroom when it's right next to you. But yeah, it was just mega confusing because again, what's my cabin going to look like? How many clothes do I pack? And the information in the package you get are so just out there that it might work for that person, but how's it going to work for this person?
That came up on so many different chats about what to pack. And
how much money, even at the studios, we would tell people to bring like $200 and $250 to get through, the 2 weeks before, 2 or 3 weeks before you get your paycheck. And after that first weekend, a night in downtown, Miami, South Beach, people were wondering when they were going to get their Ocean Pay card, so those little things of being prepared, how do I get on board? I just ran through the airport, got to a taxi, got to the ship. I just need a bottle of water. How do I do that? Oh, well, you need a sail on sign card. Oh, so that first day is extremely nerve-wracking. It's very, you're very uncomfortable, but you just have to take it in stride. If you're on the list and you're supposed to be there, the ship's not going to leave without you, or at least some, effort to contact you. Yeah. Now, my second sign-on day, different department, entertainment. My first contract is automation. Got the phone call that I'd be relieving the inaugural automation tech, which I was like, you're going to put a brand new hire from guest services on the brand new ship that's over in Europe. But essentially, it was the big. This was the Breeze. This was the Breeze. Okay. So this is the beginning of the all famous Playlist Productions Carnival 2.0. So the answer I got is, well, nobody else in the fleet knows what they're doing with 2.0. So we might as well start with a new hire that doesn't have bad habits. Okay. So great. So I got flown to Venice, Italy. Never been in Italy. Don't know Italian. Didn't understand it when the staff captain on the Conquest was yelling at me because I didn't know where my muster station was. Got there, went outside like I was told to wait for a cab, and no cab came. That's just after my luggage was lost. Here I'm halfway across the world, don't know how to speak Italian, don't know where the ship is, because I was expecting somebody to take me there. So I just got on random city bus, dropped the, $1.50 Italian in the little, ride, pay for the ride. And I said, just take me downtown. And those of you that have been in Venice, the bus came from the airport, dropped me in the big parking lot where the roads of Venice essentially stop, and you have to move, walking or by boat. And I just followed the funnel. Once I saw the red, white, and blue funnel, I walked over highways, took ferries. I was dragging my luggage all over Venice, and a miracle, I made it to the ship. Wow! But again, it was that very stressful moment of, is the ship going to leave? Am I going to be on time? And here, it's hot. It was summertime in Italy, so it's not a nice, cool, beautiful day. And you're literally walking over the overpasses of the major canal. But I made it and I was safe, thank God. But it was quite the experience. And it's just, that's the number one thing I can tell everybody on their first day is it's going to be stressful. You're not going to know what you're doing. You're going to doubt what you're doing. Just get yourself to the ship, find the big white thing and get there. And it will work itself out in the end. It really will. But it's such a vast amount of people that are switching over, signing off and signing on, that it is a very, very complex and very logistical challenge for all departments to get people on board. There's legal things we have to do and medicals and all of that. So I definitely learned the good old respect, of what the MSAs and
you gotta have that medical
have to do. Yeah. Right now, I was back in the day where you could sign on without your medical and get a waiver And when we switched to it, where you basically can't even step off the gangway without a medical,
Yep.
That's scary. I mean, when I was in casting and booking, there was multiple times I was running medicals to people in Canaveral and Miami and Fort Lauderdale that, had misplaced them or lost them. So don't forget your medical.
Medical keeps coming up on all these chats. It's so far been 12 out of 12. Everybody's like, make sure you got your medical. Have your medical. So, all right. So once again, let's jump. If you just down tuning on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, drop something in the comment. If you got a question, we're reading it. If you got something you want to say hi to somebody, you got a question, we talking tech. So let's talk tech. I hear cameras, I hear photos, I hear automation, I hear lighting. What is tech on board? Who can give me, we'll pass it around, because
A-roc.
I really don't know what the technicians do. I just call you and say, hey, the Lido sound system just crapped out on me in the middle of hairy chest. Can somebody switch it back on? And somebody in the mystery room will go hit a button
A-roc.
and the sound will come back on. That's all I know about tech, right? I just call the voice. Is this the DTM audio video? We got
just Conte con duty, man.
So,
con duty.
So all right, so let's talk tech. For all the people watching, what's on the ship? Let's start with we'll work our way from the back to the front. Let's talk about the comedy club. What's some of the equipment in the comedy club? We want to talk about the equipment.
Comedy club's easy, man.
I was gonna say comedy club was the easiest thing for us, especially as a video tech.
But what's some of the things in the comedy club?
You've got a 58 and a CD player. That's all you need.
That's all you needed. iPod hookup.
Exactly. Just have something, and if the comedian has like sound cues or whatever, just listen to him, or her.
If you're Tommy Drake, you just hand him a megaphone and he'll be perfectly fine.
Exactly. He projects so well. He doesn't even need a mic.
No, but I got to say, I actually did the comedy club when it was in the main lounge before. Ollie probably knows that one.
Yep. I'm with you.
When you used to go out on formal night after the production show, go watch comedy.
So
in the main lounge.
We're going to work our way up to the main lounge. Let's see. So we starting in, comedy piano bar. Next room, working from back to front. Piano bar. So tell us about piano bar.
Piano bar. You know what? Okay, I'm going to intervene for a second, and I'm sorry if I'm taking someone else's turn. Something I realized is the longer a piano bar entertainer has been around, the less equipment and less things they need. The newer they are, and I see Amos nodding his head, so thank you for that validation.
That's very true. Very true about that.
And the new ones have all these effect pedals. They want to have like multiple instruments and multiple mics and want them all live.
Yeah, they want all these flips and turns and, gadgets and gadgets. I'm like, dude.
Special lighting requests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, piano bar entertainers, I love them. They are my favorite, but it's interesting to see the transition between the older generation and the newer,
Do you ever see the newer guys, after a couple contracts, they bring in less stuff on board? Like you work with people multiple times. Like this guy's
everybody does that.
Trumpet.
Because I know.
Just got a basketball hoop for tips and he's playing piano. You see that? You see the transition? Like, I'm here now. I got my job. What's the next one? Nightclub. Woo woo.
Oh no. Okay. I love DJs like you. I'm sorry. I'm taking over, but I love DJs like Aaron because, DJ A-roc, because he knows his shit. He's self-sufficient, and where's the power button in my life?
Well, that's the same. That's the same thing with the generational thing. You look at some of the older DJs. You go, Alex, bring out some of the older guys compared to some of the newer guys. The older guys could run off of vinyl and they'll make it work.
Right.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
I went to a ship to train a DJ. And he was an awesome DJ. He was from England. Great DJ, but did not know the technical side of it. So I'm like, hey, you got to hook up the XLR to this, make sure you check the quarter ends. He's like, what's that? I'm like, do you not hook up your own gear? It's like, no, I go to the club, hook my laptop up, and everything's there. I'm like, you don't do no mobile stuff? No. So if you ever start doing mobile, I just pay a guy to come with me. I'm like, so yeah.
It's not pin too.
Yeah.
Not hot.
Great DJ, but the technical side, it was a struggle. Like it was basic training. Like, how you not know what an XLR cable is, man? This cable with the 3 pins, this one right here, the 3 pins. It only goes.
I was so fortunate.
Standard cable.
There was this DJ, I believe his name was DJ Zen, if anyone knows him. Just so kind and knowledgeable and smart. He gave me like all the inner workings of the dream nightclub. He'd see me struggling every time I was tech on duty. So that's a thing. There's normally about like 7 techs on a ship, and we rotate where there's a whole week where we're on duty and we have the phone call. So like we're trying to, rig check for a show, and then we're getting a call like, oh, okay, I have these 3 things lined up that I have to do simultaneously during my lunch break. No worries, it's fine. And DJ Zen like showed me the ropes with so many things with that, and I'm so grateful for it.
Very cool.
So we go for the nightclub. What's the next one? Ocean Plaza.
Ocean Plaza. And
then what on the fantasy class is
just
the
casino bar.
The casino bar. So someone explain these locations, because a lot people may be watching has never been on a cruise ship. So if you tune in, we working our way from the aft to the front. So we're going from the back to the front, right? Aft to forward. We're in the center of the ship at this point. So Ocean Plaza, who was in Ocean Plaza besides everybody?
I did one contract there, so I'm not going to take that.
The house band, and then they rotate through like Caribbean duo or, country duo or whatever. But that's mostly where the house band is, right?
Yeah.
Or trivia.
Or trivia. Yeah, trivia during the day, house band in the evening.
Deck party if it rains on Lido.
Yes.
Sunshine, we was always in Ocean Plaza if it rained on Lido.
Yeah.
That was always interesting to gotta go down there. The band is finished now. Like, yeah, so it's raining, so we about to take over. So y'all done early tonight. What? Yeah. Last song. And Cellaway starts in the mega deck party starts in 5 minutes. So, back to Ocean Plaza, as far as, how many people are usually performing a band on board? Like I said, we may have a lot of techs watching this. It's like, oh, you guys are just hooking up 1 or 2 mics, but, give us a breakdown. Rafa, what's the breakdown, of Ocean
Can
Plaza?
I say something? Can I say something about the Ocean Plaza casino area? As many as it fits on the stage, that's how many microphones, setups, piano. The piano guy wants to hook up 2 pianos. I'm so sorry, not pianos, 2 keyboards. And the guy is also singing. The drummer is also singing, and the vocalist does sing. So it's like basically as many people as you can fit on the stage. And then there will always be some calls like, hey, listen, there's some reverb coming from the monitors. Hey, I want my guitar more on the monitors. And as I'm a video technician, so when you guys are working on the stage, like doing rehearsals or show check, whatever, or the shows are happening at the same time, and then someone calls, let's say tech on duty, easily is a video technician that picks up the call, and then they ask for some very complicated setup, and I'm like, listen, just when you have a free time, maybe during the port call, just call all the technician, or if they want to change the lights, it's probably not allowed to change the lights setups on the AMX panels anymore, but I actually don't remember. But listen, if you want to do some kind of request, just call ETM at off hours, or just ask for this. Because if you call on the spot
day, no one's calling on port day. Everybody get off the ship.
But it's the time we have to work on stuff.
But you're calling 5 minutes before they're set.
But
No,
you
no,
already
they
know the
don't call.
musicians
No,
are
no.
not calling
I'm
them
sorry,
for a
they don't
day.
call 5
Exactly.
minutes. They call on the time, like 5 minutes
They're
after
gonna-
it happened. You know, like, hey, listen, my guitar is making this buzzing sound, and like, okay,
Or they're gonna call
I'll
you
go
when you're
there.
taking a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's hilarious. All right, so where we at now? Atrium got a variety
bar.
of musicians in there. Breeze Atrium, Breeze Magic, and Dream Atrium.
I don't know, but Holly's
Going on
drinking away there.
Huh?
No, I'm sorry. Should I hide it? Is that okay?
You're a technician.
Don't think anything bad, guys. I'm a tech, okay?
It's like Cinco de Mayo at Holly's house. What's going on?
Every day, guys.
Are you
every
in
day.
Cozumel right now?
I think I am in Cozumel. Tony's got a sombrero. I mean, we're in it to win it.
Oh my goodness. So
when I was
in the
on the
atrium.
Magic, we
Yep.
in the atrium, we always had the DJ and the duos or the string trios because
Yeah,
that
string
was that
trios.
came back.
Yeah, that's the same as Breeze.
Yeah.
Breeze is
Horizon.
the same. Yeah.
Dream was the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every ship from Dream, starting with Dream, Magic, Breeze, Vista, Horizon, all have the string trios now that are in the atrium, as well as obviously the one production show.
They had the trumpet trio on, was it the Breeze?
The
I
horn
was on?
trio.
Horn trios.
Yep, the horn. So all
It was
right,
cool.
so now we make it to everyone's favorite place on the ship, the main theater, the main lounge. So all right, let's really
Wow.
talk tech.
A lot of
talk
feelings.
some of these positions. What's the positions on board? I done heard light tech, entertainment tech, ETM,
Sound tech.
Who can
Sound tech,
give a breakdown?
automation, stage, your backstage hands.
All right, so go down the list for us. Tell us the list and how does it work, Jeff? What you got?
Are we talking me?
Yeah.
dude.
What's the list of positions for like the entertainment tech? So we've been talking all these different things, but what's
Well, you got fantasy class, which has your light tech and your sound tech and your stage manager. There's no automation since they are old school and have rolling drops, or they slide across the stage. And then you have your video technician.
Yay.
It's so
All right.
straightforward.
All right. So what is one of the so on the newer ships, what's the positions on the newer ship? You talking about the automation, the LED screens. What's some of the things like you get on like the Dream class and the Vista class that's going to vary from the fantasy class stuff in the Conquest?
They've got a back lounge tech.
Elias.
Most. I mean, every ship except fantasy class has the automation tech, and then pretty much every ship has the audio tech, floor tech, lighting tech, video technicians that partake within everything that's going around the ship.
So what's the automation tech? Give us some detail on that.
Automation tech, that was actually the position I held. They are the person, they are essentially responsible to run the shows with the stage manager. I mean, the communication between the automation tech and floor manager is essential during the show. And again, every position I think varies some by the ship, by the class of ship, and even the shows that are on board. The older ships, had a revolve. They had, a 25, 30 line rig for backdrops. And then obviously 2.0 brought in more of the LEDs and the screens like that. But essentially our job is to make all of the movement of the stage and set pieces happen on time and in a safely manner. So that is, again, why you have to be very, very much in communication with the floor tech, because they are your eyes when you're moving all of this equipment that could really, really injure somebody. I was told, I think on my second or third contract, that out of every job on the ship, the automation technician is like ranked number 3 as one of the most dangerous jobs. And again, we're climbing in the rig, with safety precautions. But it's also, you have the lives of everybody that is on stage in your hands while that whole entire show is going on. Because what we are moving and what we are doing could really cause some damage or major injury.
So Jessica was shaking her head when she's talking about. So Jessica, have you worked the backstage, or what is a couple positions you had?
I was so Carnival calls it floor technician. In other theaters, it's called stage manager. So that's why we've been using the two terms interchangeably. So during shows, what's unique with Carnival as opposed to theater on land is the floor technician or the stage manager is actually backstage during the shows, whereas in like land theater, they would be in the light booth or the sound booth calling all the cues. So the traditional role of stage manager is split up on Carnival between the automation tech and floor tech. And as Adam was saying, it's very important that they have a good working relationship. So during the show, the automation technician could be in charge of the pit. That's the area in front of the stage that goes up and down. There's the revolve, that's the circle on the stage that spins around. Some ships like the Dream have 5 different lifts. So throughout the stage, there are these different little spots that can go up and down. There's the LED screens in the back that can separate and turn into 6 different panels of trolleys. There are even some ships that have these things called rovers. To the left and right side of each of the LED screens, there are these other massive LED screens. Well, what's special about them is that underneath each of their 4 corners is something called an air bladder. So this massive rover, which weighs about 1,500 pounds, when you turn the lever, the 4 air bladders inflate and it still has that 1,500 pounds worth of mass, but it weighs a lot less now and you can move it on stage. So whenever they move, you've got one here and you've got, your floor tech and a couple stage hands on one, and then you've got 3 stage hands on the other, and they're moving these 1,500 pound things across the stage normally as LED trolleys are moving, as pyrotechnics are going off, as performers are running off stage to get into costume changes. So everything's moving, everything's alive. During the shows, we rely so much on the lighting technician to be our eyes and ears in moments where we don't have that. And then the audio technician has a very special job where they can communicate directly with all of the performers on stage. So when the performers are singing, and they're always singing live unless there's some sort of medical issue, but for all intents and purposes, they're pretty much always singing live. And what they're hearing, they have these in-ear monitors in their ears where they can customize their soundscape that gives them little beats and helps make sure that they're singing beautifully for everyone out there. But they can't hear us if we're trying to talk to them. So the audio technician, if there's some sort of emergency or an announcement that they need to make, they're able to talk directly into the performer's ears. So let's say, the floor technician noticed there's something weird on stage near a pyro shot. They'll communicate with the automation tech being like, hey, what do you think that is? We decide we're going to cancel pyro. We let the light tech know we're not going to do that pyro shot. We let the sound tech know we're not going to do that pyro shot. And then that sound tech is waiting for the perfect moments in that song to mention in performers' ears, hey, we're not doing the shot, so that everyone's on the same page. There's constant communication and safety. And if that's done perfectly, the audience has no idea we skipped anything and has no idea that there was so much communication that just went on stage.
That's a great description.
That's a lot. People. So if you just now tune in, what she just described is happening on a moving ship. We gotta, we have to mention these things. I was like, oh, these guys just talking about working in the theater, and no, we're talking about a theater on a moving vessel. So working on a moving vessel, what is the challenges? Especially, all right, we go, the challenges from land to sea with a moving vessel. Who want to talk about that? I mean, because for people that worked on land, it's a completely different. For me, it took me a while to get used to the ship moving. When I'm DJing, my body starts swaying. And, you feel it after a while, but just play the Cupid Shuffle and everybody's happy, right? So, right, exactly. So, what's some of the challenges? Because you described a lot of the technical side on a moving ship. How do you train for that?
Yeah. So the dancers, they are full-on athletes. A lot of people don't necessarily recognize that, but they're incredible, and they're doing all of this movement while wearing heels, while singing. Their costume changes are just as choreographed as anything happening on stage. So sometimes when it's really rocky, they're struggling to hit their choreography on stage just to run off stage and fall over while trying to do a costume change. So that's a factor. As I was mentioning with the rovers, that's 1,500 pounds each. 3 hands on each one, meaning that, they're moving. And especially if my track assigns me to move one, that means I don't have my hands on the other. And I'm trying to watch it as much as I can, and I have to rely on the rest of the team for it. So sometimes if it's too rocky, we might need to cancel or modify the rover movements. And because the LED screens are all designed to work in sync, if you're going to skip a rover movement where the rover started here and ended here, that changes the whole look of the show. So sometimes we might have to not do the full version of the show, and we might have to do a concert version of the show instead, so that we're not compromising the artistic integrity of the show's design. So there's all sorts of challenges with it. And then as I was mentioning with pyrotechnics, that's fire that's being shot on stage. And anyone
what's the
who
most dangerous thing on the ship, ladies and gentlemen? Most dangerous thing on the ship. Fire.
Yeah, anyone who works on a ship knows that fire is the most dangerous event on a ship, and we do it in the main lounge every night. No big deal.
We do it so casually.
Casual, whatever, no big deal.
Except the light tech's scared out of their minds half the time.
Right. Light tech's sweating, holding the pickle. The remote's called the pickle, which is adorable. Fun fact if you're not a tech. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that go on, and it's up to the dance captain, the floor technician, the automation technician, and the entertainment technical manager to meet together before a show if it's rocky weather and discuss, are we going to make some substitutions? Like 80s Pop to the Max with the LED version, they use treadmills. So they've got 6 rover movements, however many pyro shots, all these costume changes, all these pit movements, and then 3 treadmills that are actively moving while they're singing and dancing on them. So we might be
the freedom, A-roc.
Do the treadmills, but we still do some other things. Wow. And it's all about working together and communicating and just making a decision on what's going to be the best, what's going to be safe, what's going to make sure that these dancers can still, keep dancing night after night.
See, I'm interested in this. It's like, it's always 1 or 2 things going at the same time. Like usually when the show is going on, I'm getting set up in the atrium for the after party. So I never see the end of any shows. I always see everything up to the last 15 minutes of the show. So I don't know what half these shows even end like. But back to the theater, it's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people don't realize that all this technology is on a ship. We have, you got lifting stage, you got the pit, you got everything else going on. With that, what was one of your favorite position in the theater? Favorite position in the theater?
Can I start?
Y'all been around, right? Y'all had different positions.
Can I start? Oh, go ahead, Jeff. No, do it, please.
No,
hogging.
You go.
No, please, you have seniority.
I'll just say, ladies got seniority over that.
Hey, Holly, come on, Holly, what you got?
Listen, I was on the Magic for 4 years, which had a really big magic show.
No.
I know. Listen, so that show every Wednesday when we were doing our original run out of Galveston took precedence. So, at 12 o'clock noon, I'm setting up burlesque and then, doing all the other little details for, Destination Unknown until then.
My favorite show. That was my favorite show.
It was the most complex show ever on a Carnival ship, I think. And I see Adam kind of like, bobbing his head. But it's just
hold
like,
on real quick. Have anyone ever, like, besides, a few, have everybody seen Destination Unknown, DU?
Shockingly, I have not.
Oh, so
what? Are you kidding, Jeff?
So I never got the magic.
It involved a zip line over the audience.
Well, I remember the original Magic Show zipline on, and Adam might know it. Hal, you may have known it. Might have been the Triumph.
Yeah, Lady Helavive.
Had the original one.
Yeah, the slide for life, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Well, we had a lot of the same stuff, except we had a pyro scene, like a full scene just full of pyro with over 100 shots. And that in itself was a pain to, not a pain, but it was, it was interesting to set up every Wednesday. And for me as the audio tech, having to set up the show, set up another show in the back, set up, the pyro, do all these things, Wednesdays were tough, man. And I still get a little, like every Wednesday I'm like stressed out, but yeah, man. And then there was that one time with DU where, the zip line you mentioned, Aaron, Jason Byrne was on a zip line and he missed and he almost kicked me in the head because he had to like zip line over me. And I just noticed it last second and was able to duck. But like these shows are no joke, some of them,
No.
And once again, it's on a moving ship. All right, so Osmas, you've been quiet over there, man. What's one of your favorite positions on the ship? Well, you've been 2 years with the company, so you've probably been around to a few different positions.
I'll stick on my audio because I think I'll just go with maybe my favorite shows and something like that. I'll stick to my my first contract was on Fascination. That was my first ship, and I loved that ship up to now. And my first, I think the show that got me, it was Divas, the Divas shows. And from that, I went to Inspiration, then Breeze, then back to Fascination. So on those 4 contracts, generally Fascination, generally Divas and Flick. They're my best shows, and maybe I love to do them and everything. And on the position of maybe on the ship position, maybe the best I will say light, doing light, from doing a sound, maybe doing lights, maybe I can do that one. That's it, yeah. And maybe a DJ, maybe. Because yes, I can do that. Yeah.
Rafa, what about you?
Hey guys, I think I'm the only one besides Jeffrey maybe that does not work on the stage, so I have a very different view of the stage setup as it is. I think the most complicated one that I ever saw was on the Horizon, Celestial Strings. It's a new show that started in 2018. I'm not sure right now. That requires a lot of setup, and sometimes I felt bad for the stage technicians, So that's I tried to help as much as I could there, trying to lift set pieces, setting up the stage satellites. There's a lot of pieces that come from the dungeons, and they have to set up on the audience because
hold up. We go back. What is the dungeon?
The dungeon, yeah.
All right, go tell people about the dungeon.
The dungeon.
Where is the dungeon?
It's a secret place. I don't know what you guys call it, but I learned as a dungeon or the pits.
This is the tech storage locker.
It's a
storage locker outside of the stage.
Down there.
Yeah, so on the horizon there's no pits, so everything is stored on the dungeons on the either side of the stage or underneath the stage on a very little square underneath the stage. And now all these pieces have to come together on the stage itself, on the backstage or on the audience, because the dancers and the singers, they perform, and the string trio, they perform on the audience as well, not just on the stage.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
And
That-
something really special with Celestial Strings, the set pieces are all completely white. So you have to wear white gloves anytime you load in and load out the set, which makes it harder to grip on and just adds so much time to the load in and load out. So lots of sympathy for you and for Holly and Jeff and anyone who had to work on the magic show, having all those rough load-ins.
Hey, we got a quick shout out. CJ, your car comedian, CJ Jones said what's up.
CJ
Jeff,
Jones.
crew.
Hey, CJ.
He's
DJ
watching on Facebook
Jones.
right now.
Favorite comedian.
The comedian.
Love
Yeah,
him.
he missed us talking about the comedy club. He missed out on that.
He
just
was
ask
one of
which
my
top one
favorites.
to intro.
So, all right. So we back to the positions. All right, Jeff, one of your favorite positions on board and shows like.
Well, positions is hard to say because as Adam knows very well from all my multiple phone calls to him at all hours of the day, I actually have worked about 4 of the positions on board the ship as a technician. Video was my main one. I covered lighting tech on the Miracle when I was trying to become one of the first ETMs. And what they wouldn't give it to me without theater experience. So I said, screw it, I'll go be a light tech for a contract. I was covering while I was ETM as well. So I covered video, ETM, and lighting all at the same lovely time. Covered sound here and there and covered some stage work around the fleet when I would go from ship to ship if they needed it because I had the experience. So I kind of covered all the positions at some point in time in 10 years. But shows, ooh. I gotta say Ticket to Ride, only because I got to work it on all 3 ships it was on, plus demolish it on 2 of the 3 ships when 2.0 came in.
Now, what was that? What show was that?
Ticket to Ride, it was a tribute to the Beatles.
Okay.
It was on the Fantasy, the Miracle, and the Freedom. And then I did the 2.0 install on the Freedom and the Fantasy. So somewhere in my house, I have the bus signs.
Oh, wow.
Do you really?
Yes. It was my
Good for
little
you.
piece I wanted.
I was going to come back to that. I was going to come back to what happened to these sets when they change out. We going to come back to
I
that.
have all the wigs. I have all the wigs.
I got to say, I enjoyed, God, Adam, help me out, the one on the Dream, the original show.
Dancing in the streets.
Yes. Only because the trampoline.
Yeah, it was one of the most complex, shows before 2.0.
Was that with the break dancers?
Yes,
that was with the break dancers and the acrobats. I mean, it was on the Dream, a full stage with trampoline. 95% of the set pieces were flown, so it was a very challenging show for the techs. It was a long setup, but if you worked well, because it was one of those shows in a strike and a setup that pieces had to be flown in or taken out or moved here to be able to put the show together. And once you got used to that rhythm, knowing what the pattern was and where you needed things to be clear to fly things in, if you had a good tech team, you could do it in a very quick time. But if you didn't, or you had a new tech, I remember my second or third week on the Dream, we had a new tech come in, and it literally took us almost 3 hours to put this thing together. It was a massive set.
And I was there I took over with the original. I was part of the tech crew that took over the original cast.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's one thing I got to remind people, because we got so many different streams going on: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. If you just now tune in, we're talking to entertainment techs, talking about working as a technician on board a cruise ship. So if you ever want to know what it's like to work on a floating city, working in the theater and doing so much more, this is the conversation you want to join in. If you watching on Facebook or Twitch, drop something in the comments. If you got a question, you want to say what's up. CJ says, hi, Holly, and he knew you had the wigs.
He knows me very well. CJ and I go very far back.
So, what I always wonder, just as a DJ, do you all get much downtime as technicians?
It
varies.
It really depends. I mean, there's weeks where you're tech on duty, and I'll run through a week very quickly. Is when you're tech on duty, as guests are, debarking and you're preparing, and everybody is preparing for the new guest to come on board. You're doing weddings, you're doing ship visits, ship tours. A lot of times you're loading and offloading things from the marshaling area. You're getting new set pieces or supplies in. So for the TOD, embarkation day is extremely hectic. Throughout the week, there's a lot of different venues and activities that we do support ship-wide. But a typical day, I mean, you get used to it after two or three times when you get in the cycle. Okay, I can squeeze a 30-minute nap in here or a 45-minute nap.
But you got a 30-minute nap?
Barely, never. I mean,
so lucky.
But it was one of those things, and it varied.
Must be in winter.
It varied with the again, what the ship offered, what the shows were. There are some ships that are a lot more challenging and take a lot more time out of the techs, and then there are ships that aren't as challenging. And it bases by market. I mean, when I was based out of Miami on the breeze, I made just as much in the old days on group pay as literally I did on my regular salary.
Group pay.
Oh, remember when that went away?
Oh yeah, group pay.
what is group pay? I don't know.
Group pay was.
Can we talk about that after the stream? We talk about that after the stream.
Awesome.
That's long gone.
All right, we come back to that. We're gonna have people licking their lips. What's this group pay? We're gonna say that for later.
Okay. Oh, wait. Can I tell you about this one group that I had? So this is right after group pay was not a thing anymore. And they were such a beautiful group of people. And they found out, I don't know how they found out, but they found out that I wasn't going to get paid to working with their group all week long. They put a collection together and gave me over $400.
I had the same thing. Happen on board. Yes.
That's good. That's beautiful. I think, not necessary, but beautiful.
Well, it's always been that challenge of what really is the technician's job responsibility when they are on board, and with the group pay, it was when we would do a wedding or we would support the operations for, another department on the ship, we'd get that additional incentive. That kind of pulled us away from what our job description really was. So there were times where we'd be doing 3 or 4 weddings, on an embarkation day, and then rolling into a safety briefing, a rake track, and then, welcome aboard show. But when they eliminated that, it did become kind of a sore spot, just as every department kind of has their sore spot as the company grows and as the industry grows. But it was really the opportunity, for you kind of bank up a little bit extra. But again, there were also ports that, you were TOD and you had no groups, no weddings, and you were just answering,
television phone calls.
My TV's not working. Yeah. Wait till after we start sailing, just
I don't have no television. I need to see this.
Yeah. You're on a cruise. What do you want a TV, But
can I tell you something that I did one time on the Med? Well, I won't tell you what ship, but you've probably already heard. I had a month of Elvis impersonators, and I let one of them tattoo a unicorn on my back as a tip.
A month of Elvis impersonators.
It was like a bunch after another, and I had I forgot what I called them, but there was 4 of them at one time, and I had little nicknames for all of them. And one of them, Trucker Elvis, was like, I really want to give you a tip. I don't know what the legality is. Also, we don't have enough money. Let me give you a tattoo. He brought machinery for a tattoo, and I let him do it.
Oh my goodness. The days in life of Holly on the ship. Oh my.
Man, they were,
That's a separate podcast for the days in life of Holly on the ship. That's a.
I
I
had
think
a lot
we
of
all
fun.
have those stories though that we can't say. Yeah.
That's another channel.
Yeah.
Another night,
I shouldn't have said it, but I said it.
another lifetime. So I don't want to keep you guys on too late. So with the entertainment job, a lot of people just it's always. I deal with a lot of techs, a lot of people in my area, and just traveling. People find out you work on a cruise ship. If we want to know how you get there, all the different things that we talked about tonight. So here we are off the ship. What is life right now off the ship? Life. So who is no longer with the company right now? Besides all of us not working, but okay. So basically,
Well, I'm the only one. Like,
only one.
I think you are, man.
oh my God. Okay.
So life after the ship, what are you doing right now, Holly? What are you doing after Destination Unknown and unicorn tattoos?
I'm still having a lot of fun. I have kids now. Can you believe it?
Kids.
I saw Adam's face. I never thought that would happen. I'm getting married in just over a month. And
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yes, congrats.
Thank you.
You didn't call me come DJ? I would have came and DJ.
Man, there is a 25 person limit. Like
no one's following that limit.
Well, we are because, there's some people who, care. But if we weren't doing it, you were on my list. You actually were on my original list.
All right.
And we have kids and I have a job at a university. It's very opposite from ship life.
What
are you doing at the university? What's the job at the university? Northeastern.
What job are you doing there?
I'm an associate director of operations for event management. So we take care of all the events, and I have a team of like 200 people, some freelancers, some students, and I get to show them how to run a sound console, how to run a lighting console, mostly event etiquette, which I learned a lot about from Carnival, which was very helpful. And, I'm super lucky.
Now, the question is, did a Carnival on the resume help with the job, you think?
Sometimes people would give me an interview just because I worked for a Carnival, and they would ask me weird questions that weren't relevant. So they were just curious. I was like, well, just ask me, dude,
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. So who else? Jeff.
Yeah, so I am actually a EMT right now, working for a ambulance company down in South Florida, transporting patients to and from the hospital, back to rehab, back home. In school, or was in school for paramedic, working on my license for that, and then figuring out what's next, either go fire rescue or nursing.
Very cool, dude.
That's a huge transition from the ship.
It was.
And the crazy part is probably less stressful than the ship too.
Sometimes. And there's days I miss the ship. People ask me if I want to go back on board and do the medical side, and I don't see that happening. But you never know.
You can get some journey cruises, man. Guaranteed. get on the 14-day journey.
We'll leave Journey. That's a sore one in my household right now.
Oh man.
For those who know, my brother was in charge of Journeys until they moved him off of the project.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That is sensitive.
So, yeah, my brother started Journeys, worked with everybody in the office, and then randomly they moved him to another project, but he's working for the city government right now in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice.
Good for him, dude.
All right. So who else? Who else? Jessica, what are you up to right now?
So I left Carnival a little over a year ago to go for another cruise line. I loved Carnival and have no regrets about it whatsoever, but I wanted to get more back into the core of stage management with calling shows from a booth and you know all of that. I missed having a proper script and all of that. So yeah, I was been with another cruise line for about a year, and then pandemic hit, and I haven't actually gotten a paying job yet. Because you know I'm very concerned about pandemic, especially with my 4 nephews. Um, but I've been spending a lot of time with a local organization that I'm going to plug called Atlanta Artist Relief Fund that a few of my friends made. And I've been spending a big chunk of my time volunteering with them, helping local artists figure out their unemployment issues, getting them connected with resources, helping them with isolation support, food deliveries, all sorts of things. We just had our first community event this past Saturday where we all wore face masks and did some community service projects for a new art venue. So doing cool things with that, and maybe eventually I'll get money from somewhere, but for now I'm okay.
Very cool.
All right, Osmos, what's going on overseas, man? Are you in Kenya right now?
Yeah, I'm in Kenya right now.
How is Kenya? How is, I mean, we only see what they want us to see on TV. So how is Kenya?
Not what you see in TV. No. That's a different world. Generally, for me, what I'm doing now is I went back to the production side of the other side of I'm doing audio productions, mostly music, and some live recording, small live recording, some projects I'm finishing up. Then generally, that's what I'm doing right now. And as I'm waiting for things to open up and go back to work.
Now, did the pandemic hit the entertainment hard over there? Yeah,
it did. It's very hard. Everything is down. People are complaining, saying, okay, I will say what they're saying. Here, they don't believe there is corona, but we believe it's there. Nobody's believing it's there, but everything is shut down mostly. No events is going on, but slowly they started coming up again, and we are hoping by the end of the year everything will go back, even not normal, but somewhere.
Yeah, we dealing with that now. They keep changing restrictions up. Our bars right now, last call is at 10, and they have to have all the patrons out by 11 p.m. So it is not too many DJs spending in Ohio unless you're doing like a day party starting at 7 p.m. and you're done by 10. So but the venues just start allowing people to come dance. 2 months ago, they opened venues up and they said no dancing. So who needs a DJ if there's no dancing, right? And then they said, well, you can have a DJ, but you got to dance around your table.
But now you see on your side is much better than like in Kenya, everything is locked down. No club, there's a curfew. There's something called curfew. So you're out from 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. Nobody should be out. It's a curfew, and so no nightclub, no nothing, no entertainment at night. But at least for the last few weeks, they have started doing weddings. So and the churches are starting opening up. So we are starting seeing like in a few days the nightclub will go back to the open up. Yeah.
Got a curfew. I feel lucky now. We've done at 11 o'clock. I feel pretty good. No curfews yet.
Yeah.
All right, Rafa, what's going on where you at, man? How was the pandemic where you are, and what's going on with you? You got to hit the mute.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still having troubles with my AirPod. Well, I'm from Rio. I think everybody in the world knows where Rio is, like Brazil. But I'm lucky to be living with my dad, which is he lives very far away from the major city. So yeah, I've been spending these past few months at home, kind of isolating myself from the world. I'm still waiting for Carnival to call me back, and yeah, that pretty much sums it. I've been working as a web designer. As it, that's it.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody's
pretty much.
staying busy.
Yeah, yeah. I
Everybody.
know. I think everybody has to. Everybody tries to find something that they're good at, and or try to improve their skills, or try to work on themselves. So I really took this pandemic as a opportunity to do all the things that I wanted to do, but I never had the time to, like uh, doing level up trainings, or studying more about audio, or studying more about video, more lights and stuff like that. So when it gets time to go back, I'll be ready for the next level, and you know keeps keep going on. Uh, that's
I've
it.
been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been doing like I've been trying to take advantage of all the virtual education. A lot of the events that you usually have
There's
to
a lot of
pay.
stuff out there, man.
Yeah, and most stuff is free. Stuff that usually costs $400 or $500 to attend like a seminar. They're doing Facebook lives, or just fill out this link and you get the Backstage or the Zoom, and for $20. I mean, and it's good education. So I've been
Yeah,
trying
I'm
to tell
taking
people
a
that,
free
like, take
course
advantage of this time.
from St. Hopkins, John Hopkins right now. Psychological first aid. Thought it'd be a good thing to have. So
Wow.
figured I'm not doing anything else.
Right. See, and that so Rafa, how is Rio right now? Are things open? Are they slowly opening? Still shut down? Curfews?
Well, things are open.
I think his AirPods. Thank you, Apple, $1 trillion company.
Seriously. Can I?
Things are open, but they're trying their best to accommodate the nightlife. Like the nightclubs are closed, but people are still going to bars. Like some people respect the lockdown terms, while some others don't, and that's why Brazil is on the second place of the pandemic right now, just losing for the US on cases. It's kind of shameful to realize that some of your friends are going out and doing barbecues and taking pictures with 300 people on the pool, while others are staying at home and just waiting for a vaccine or some, let's say, better terms to go out. I try to restrict myself to only go out to, let's say, doing supermarket stuff, buying some groceries. And can you guys hear me or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Because I have no, like,
Well, it's nice to hear, from other places. I mean, the news is only going to show us, especially your state news, your local news. You're only going to know what's happening in your state and a couple of things in the country, but you're not going to know what's anybody on the ship when the pandemic, when things start.
Just let me say something about that 1 second. Just if I can go back. I'm really sorry, Holly. Just 1 second.
No, you're fine. I interrupt all the time. Please interrupt me.
You know what? I think the news is always showing the bad stuff, not much as the good stuff. They say like, oh, there's 5,000 people died today, and then like, well, listen, at the same time that 5,000 people died today, like there's a lot of research going on, and they found out the rats have a different protein that blocks some kind of aspect of the virus and stuff like that. And they're always focusing on the bad, like just share some good news as well.
Right.
Because good news don't bring the money. Like they want to share the bad news.
You're totally right, man.
That's kind of sad, like the world we live in. Like instead of sharing the happiness, people share the bad stuff. Like, hey, listen, Ohio right now is on lockdown. There's a there's a major
Hey,
you know, like
that's what pays the bills. We all work in entertainment, and we all know how it works, especially those who have worked in radio and any kind of television. We know the back end of it, and that's what sells. That's what pays the bills. And that's So what's up, Holly?
So I was on the Magic when there was a big Ebola scare.
Oh yeah.
Were you there? Or
I signed on a week after. I got on a week. Oh man, everybody at home's like, "You're not going to that ship." Like people's like, "You see the Magic?" Like, I'm actually about to go there next week.
It's funny because only Texas and probably Ohio were the only people to hear about it, because up in New England, like no one had any idea. I sent messages to my family, hey, don't worry about what you hear in the news. It's all good. And no one heard anything. But I remember the Ebola scare, and I still share it like it's a war story. And I remember the helicopter coming in with equipment for our doctor to, examine the patient. And I remember guests were just like trying to keep their cool, and as were the crew members. The crew members were, reasonably not cool. And I just remember all of it, dude. Like it was a big mishbuka.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The week, 1 week after, it was the week before I came there.
Yeah.
I was like, do I want to go to this ship?
Man, you joined at the best time because I was there.
Yeah,
and,
right, exactly.
Everyone was just so relaxed after they found out they weren't sick. But oh my God, that's right. You did join right after that because you were so like happy with everything. You were just happy to be there.
Stuff that don't bother me. So Adam, what are you up to, man?
Well, right now I just recently relocated up to Orlando from Fort Lauderdale, where Carnival Studios is. Cost of living, as many people know, in South Florida is absolutely outrageous. So I'm up in Orlando, just just waiting through this. It's one of those situations. One of those situations, we couldn't plan for. I was very much building, that back pocket of opportunities. I was working on Carnival for my growth, and unfortunately, everything's dead now. I mean, the entire entertainment industry, all touring, all Broadway, I mean, it's gone. And then to fall back onto hospitality, that is also gone. So right now it's just trying to, go through it. Just like so many people in Florida know how we get through a hurricane. You just get what you need and you buckle down and you wait for it to go through.
You're gonna come out, Adam.
It's just one of those things that every day I tell myself it's not just me. This was nothing that I could control. This was nothing that the company knew was going to happen. We all know how close the entire entertainment family is on board and on the ships. I didn't know, even the morning we all got laid off or furloughed, didn't know this was happening. We didn't think it could ever happen, but it did. So now it's just, how do we step forward? How do we continue bettering ourselves? I know there's a lot of people that hope things turn around and, the cruise industry starts, building, but right now it's making sure that we all keep ourselves safe and our guests safe. Cruising is very, very much a social activity. And until it's safe where we can do that, just kind of sitting back, taking in the deep breath. I mean, we just, we opened a brand new facility. It was a wild and crazy couple of first years. So I'm just taking in this time for some reflection and some time to kind of see really what where the future holds. And I think it really is an open slate for right now.
Yep.
If you're out there, don't get discouraged. If you want to do something, just keep going for it, because eventually it's going to be a slow process, but eventually we will be back and we'll be entertaining people.
Yep.
I'm excited for you, Adam. You're doing great.
Can I say one thing? And I know Holly, Jess, you probably all agree on this one. I mean, especially Holly, because we go back to the 1.0 days when it was 12-person cast, 10 musicians. I mean, we all have friends throughout the industry. I mean, I'm not in the industry anymore, but my heart is still, the entertainment field. Between
100%.
Between ships, Vegas, New York. I mean, we all have what we would say our family out there. I mean,
yeah, and
we all know
especially
what the
with
struggle
how
is.
sudden,
Right.
yeah, especially with like how sudden everything happened. It's felt like I lost my home and my job and my friends and my network, and I moved in with my mom for a little bit, and it's like suddenly all my friends from my couple of companies are just scattered around the world. And normally on vacation, which is what we call our time off between ships, normally I would go and travel and see my friends, and of course we can't do that right now. So it's just been a major shock for all of us. And thankfully we have Zoom and meetings like these, and I've Zoomed with so many friends from so many contracts, and that really helps keep me grounded.
It's good. Yeah, even working in events now, like I remember in March, one day everything canceled, over like 1,000 events for the rest of the year, just canceled out of nowhere. And how scary it was for the department, like what's going to happen to us. And we're very lucky that we haven't been furloughed, we haven't been fired, we haven't, we're just kind of sitting ducks because we are operations technically. But it is a scary time for people in our field. And we, again, like I mentioned, we have freelancers, but we were like, okay, even though all these events, even so many months out, are canceled, we're still going to try to pay you for that, which I thought was really gracious. But can you imagine any other job that would do that in our field? Like we'd be on our tookuses instantly.
Right. Yeah, I ran into that with DJing. My thing was all the DJs, all of us started getting on Twitch and start streaming, but we was all supporting each other. It'd be 5 people watching on Twitch and 5 of them be other DJs, and we all was like trying to support each other, because we're always sitting there like, this is our full-time gig, and here I am, weddings canceled. I need a refund because I lost my job. Can you send me that? I'm like, that deposit is 9 months old, and I'm living off the deposit right now. So I got to figure out how to refund back your money if I can even pay my bills. Yeah. But for me, I just, I found a way to get people back their money, because I knew people, it was a terrible situation. But even now, 12 weddings I had to move or cancel. And for me, this is supposed to be my busiest time of the year, and I'm on wedding number 4 or 5 for the summer. Which,
well, I mean, you can always come to mine and just Zoom it. You could be the Zoom chat.
So I tell you something real quick. I've been taking advantage of this downtime and literally getting on any free conference or technical or anything somebody's doing, and I set on a 10-day challenge, which was awesome. And like day 2, a woman from Canada talked about how they were running conferences, and if someone showed up with a high temperature, they gave them a card and sent them back to their hotel room, and the card had the Zoom in for the conference. So even though they came to Canada to this conference, they went back and they got them in. Another woman who worked events, this was like the best idea ever, and what was so good about this was the fact that I got to hear from other people in the same situation. We're not alone. That's the thing. You may say like, man, I'm by myself, but you got 10,000 other people in the same situation. And it was nice to hear other people talking about what they're doing right now and different opportunities. And that's why I was interested about what was going on in different parts of the world, because, you know, every state's different, every country's different, you know, but at the end of the day, we all trying to figure out the next move. So, you know, that's you know, I love doing this. And I will say this, you know, while we still streaming, but you know, one of the biggest things that I came up with this for was to reach out to other DJs, you know, from the ships. First couple of them just DJs that worked on ships. And it was just a network. It's a very, very small community of us who have worked on ships. You know, it's not too many people you run into say, oh yeah, man, you can't tell these ship stories to someone who never worked on a ship. You know, like, oh, the medical, your muster station, your first day, you know, what happens when this happened, you know.
Yeah.
Right. People don't understand that. So it's nice to have that conversation, because if we all smiling, because like, you ever try to tell some of these stories to people who never worked on a ship before?
You look like a freaking moron.
Right? I tell people about the stage all the time, like, man, they got a pit and they got the flying, then this is going on, they got the air movements. They're like, man, whatever. I'm like, no, I said,
they have a dungeon
working all the audio.
Or you get told by your cruise director you won't last 6 months.
Oh, that happened to me. I got threatened to be fired for New Year's Eve because I didn't get his microphone up loud enough.
I had a infamous cruise director and hotel director tell me I would not survive past 6 months because I was one of the only Americans at the time working in the video department.
Yeah.
Well, you did it. You know, it goes.
I did it, and I made the cruise director buy me drinks the day she got back from her vacation.
Good for you, dude.
So, you know, but this is awesome. So look, stay on, but I'm gonna wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. If you're watching on Twitch,
can I say one thing?
YouTube, Facebook. What's up? You got something, Rafa, down there?
I have one thing. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
I want to go first.
Yeah, I'm going to go first. I'm sorry. All I do is interrupt. I think I'm a narcissist. I just want to give a shout out to Jay Molyneux because he's watching. And I want you to know I still have the shirt you gave me for my very first contract.
Aww.
That's it. I'm sorry.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's all you, man. I'm done.
Okay, listen, right now I don't know how many people are watching this, but maybe someone's gonna watch this later on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. If you're thinking about all the negative stuff, just try for a little bit of your time. Just don't think much about it. Try to work on those skills. If you're hearing from amazing people that work on cruise ships for 1, 3, 5, 10 contracts more than that. And here we have a different there's different people with different backgrounds, all that work together on a cruise ship and doing amazing things. When Jessica was explaining how the things are moving at the same time on the stage, and the hovers and the pits, and then everything is happening at the same time, I was like, oh my God, I'm there. You know, like I was very excited. So take this time to improve your skills. Take this time to improve yourself, because just like I don't know who, I think it was Adam was talking about, the things are slowly, it's like a gear, like it's slowly coming towards the same goal, which is the comeback of the industry, the hospitality and the tourism and the cruise ships and everything else. The world's gonna spin, and then we're gonna surpass this all this. But when we surpass this, you have to be ready, you know, because if you're not ready, they're not gonna give you a chance, because you had all this time to work on yourself, and you didn't improve a little bit. You're spending all your time sleeping or watching movies on Netflix or whatever. You're like just wasting time, you know. When this is over, they're gonna require the best people for the amazing jobs we have or had in the past. I still have. I think that I still have at least. But you know, like, just take this time, this opportunity to work on yourself, because we're gonna.
There's also so many people who just making it through each day is such a huge accomplishment. And like, if that is all you can handle on your plate, like, that is amazing. We're gonna get out of this. We're all gonna make it out of this together, you know.
Yep.
And if you need to get outside and do something, go on a walk, you know, get a walking buddy, go do something. You know, I've been channeling all of like my pent up energy of, you know, being used to working 70 hours a week to not working. I've been channeling that.
No one believes we work 70 hours a week.
Literally just because I was bored. You know, I've been learning guitar to do something, you know, to create some art, since I don't get to watch art every day like I used to, you know, have the privilege of doing at work. Take an online course, you know, if you're curious about what automation is, find an online course about it, you know. But yeah, if all you can do is just get through each day, that's amazing as well.
Yeah, I mean, just don't give up on the opportunity. If this is something that you truly want to do, or you want to take part in when the industry gets back up and running, it is hard, obviously, financially, to, you know, just put everybody's, you know, your life on pause, especially if you have a family, a wife, children, husband to take care of. But if this is where your passion is, now is the perfect time to brush up your skills, you know, to learn the things that you struggled with. If you're new coming into the cruise industry, research the companies, find out what their demographics are, find out what you're going to be doing. There are 1,000 groups on Facebook that you can join and talk with people like this group and find out the pros and the cons, you know. So just take this, you know, pause in operations for the industry, you know, as an opportunity, and look at what the strength of this, you know, industry really has. You know, this is an industry that in the beginning of this pandemic, everybody joined forces and we all agreed, you know, to suspend operations. Where else did you see a complete industry say, we are going to stop what we're doing for the betterment of, you know, mankind? This industry is the only industry that did that.
Yep.
Voluntarily. So this is a family, you know, and you will build it, and you will have opportunities that you know, when people ask what they're going to do in 5 years from now, you won't even be able to predict.
Good shit.
You really won't. So, you know, just keep the faith. I mean, it's not a glamorous job. I'm not going to give you diamonds and, you know, tiaras, but it is a very
paid vacation. Job. You got Cozumel.
Yeah.
Cozumel. The diamond and tiaras was the charter cruise, Adam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be back.
We will be back.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. To add on that, I'll say for all of us, whatever we are doing, let's keep pushing, and we don't know exactly what time you're going back to work, but let's keep going and keep the faith alive. And whatever you see that you can do, whatever you see that you are able to do that this time, just go for it. Don't be afraid as you're waiting for things to line up. Another thing apart from that is a shout out to company Carnival. I was among the people who were caught on the ship by this pandemic. I was there for 2 months. Then it started, and then we paused the operation. And I love the way the company handled everything for repatriation of all the crew back at home. I just use thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, guys.
All right. We're going to leave it at that. Hey, once again, if you're tuning in, thank you all for tuning in. Drop a comment in there. You know, reach out to us. You got any questions? You ever want to, you know, do this, you know, on the ship. So there we go. I'm going to end the